So I've been investing my money since I was 18 years old, and just recently I've finally gotten my ETF holdings pretty dialed in, and I wanted to share with you guys what ETFs I'm holding as a 20-year-old investor. So let's get straight into it. The first one that I want to talk about is my S&P 500 tracking ETF. And I hold one that's a little bit less popular than most people. Like, you don't really hear this one spoken about too much. And there's a few reasons why I picked this one over other more popular S&P 500 tracking ETFs like VU by Vanguard. So I hold SPLG by Spider, and right now this is sitting at $64.15 a share. So it's pretty appealing when it comes to price per share. As for VU by Vanguard is $501 per share. So, but that's not the main reason that I picked it. It's something that I think goes overlooked pretty often by a lot of people because I hear VU talked about a lot and not SPLG. So if you scroll down to key statistics, this is where things get pretty interesting. So reading through them, they're almost completely identical. They have the same returns per year. So why wouldn't you pick the better one, right? Well, most people completely miss this part. So scrolling down on SPLG, you'll see the expense ratio is 0.02, and that's extremely small. And VU by Vanguard is their expense ratio is 0.03, and that's very, very small as well. But when you're talking millions of dollars and every single year, because this expense ratio is going to completely add up and it's going to be a killer for long term. And it could change in the future, but why would you not pick the one that is going to save you money at the moment? So that's the main reason that I went with SPLG. So right now I have $6,188 in SPLG, and I kind of have my ETFs spaced out in value wise to have very similar amounts. I don't like to have one too heavy. So that's my S&P 500 tracking ETF that I am holding. So when it comes to ETFs, I still try to be completely diverse, but I'm still trying to beat the S&P 500 ETFs. And this one is doing that with ease. This is ticker symbol SCHG. It's at $101 per share. And right now I hold $6,235 of it. So basically SCHG tracks the Dow Jones US Large Cap Growth Total Stock Market Index, which selects growth stocks from 750 of the largest US companies by market cap. So right now the number of holdings is 251. And compared to VU by Vanguard, year to date, it's up 23.25%, as where VU is only up 15.54. And over the past few years, this has still beat the S&P 500 ETFs. So in the past 5 years, it's yielded 140.43%, whereas VU is 84.60%. So pretty substantial. You can pretty much bet on it to beat an S&P 500 ETF almost every single time. So I also want to look at the expense ratio on this. It's 0.04. So extremely low. It's a lot lower than some of the other growth ETFs that you're going to see out there. And we'll look at its top 10 holdings as well. So the top 10 holdings for SCHG is Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, Meta Platforms, Alphabet Class A, Alphabet Class C, Eli Lilly, Broadcom, and Tesla. So this is honestly definitely my favorite one to hold. I really, really like this one. It's just so it's very reliable and just a good one to hold in general, just because it gives a lot of diversity in the US market. So that is my second ETF that I am holding. So this is my last, but probably my most important pick in my ETF holdings. This one is based off the information technology sector. It is FTEC. It is Fidelity's Misinformation Technology Index ETF. And when I'm talking about why I chose this very underrated ETF compared to more popular information technology ETFs like VGT, very similar to the first one, and I'm going to compare them side by side. So FTEC, it is $173 per share, and year to date, it is up 22.52%. As for VGT, it is $580 a share, and it's only up 21.42%. So there's a little bit of a difference there. It is a lot more per share at VGT, and compared to FTEC, it is getting higher yields returns per our year to date. So we're going to scroll down and compare a little bit more of the key statistics. So same thing as my S&P 500 ETF. FTEC, its expense ratio is 0.08. As for VGT, its expense ratio is 0.10, which again, not too much of a difference, but long term, this is absolutely killer. So why not choose the better ETF? We're also going to compare the top 10 holdings. They're very, very similar, but slightly different. I think that's what's giving FTEC the slight edge over VGT. So top 10 holdings for FTEC are Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Broadcom, AMD, Adobe, Salesforce, Oracle, Qualcomm, and Applied Materials. And top 10 holdings for VGT are Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Broadcom, AMD, Qualcomm, Salesforce, Adobe, Oracle, and Cisco Systems. So pretty interesting. They're very, very similar. Another thing that's a bit different is FTEC. The number of its holdings right now is only 297. As for VGT, the number of holdings is a bit larger at 324. So it's very, very interesting. And if you look at these in the past 5 years, FTEC has returned 172.58%, and VGT has only returned 169.30%. So in my opinion, I'm going to choose FTEC all day. I just think this is a all around better ETF in my opinion. Lower expense ratio, higher returns, and less per share. I just personally like it a lot more, and it just kind of gives you that vibe that you're just doing something a little bit different than what everyone else is doing. So those are my top 3 holdings. I almost forgot to mention, I'm actually holding $6,045 of FTEC. So everything again, very level, but as time goes on, I know these are going to fluctuate drastically depending on the returns and how much I put in and how they perform, because I'm going to buy as soon as everything drops. I buy that ETF. So those are my top 3, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something, and don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment if you have any questions for me, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.